friends, welcome back to the Avocado Toast Budget. If you're new here, my name is Lexa, and today we are going over the top 5 mistakes that new budgeters make. Budgeting, just like anything else in the world, is something that takes practice, and you are going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from those mistakes. I was the exact same way. This definitely does not come from a place of judgment. It comes from a place of hoping that I can let you know some of the common mistakes that I see so that you don't have to make those mistakes. You can make different mistakes for yourself. I have learned a lot along the way of budgeting and paying off debt, the do's, the do-nots. So I want to break down those top 5 mistakes here. I'm also really excited because today Digit and I are partnering up to show you how to avoid some of those mistakes. So let's go ahead and get into it. Mistake number 1, overcomplicating your budgeting system. Whenever you are new to budgeting, it can be really exciting and you can have all of these goals that you want to start budgeting for. And this can sometimes lead to you inevitably just making a budgeting system that is way too complicated and not realistic for your life. If you've never budgeted before, you want to take those small, easy, realistic steps towards saving, investing, and paying off debt. And in my experience, the simpler, the better. And that's why I'm so excited to be partnering with Digit. Digit automatically connects to your bank and it analyzes your spending to start saving you money in a way that is personalized to you and your spending habits. This is not just the simple $5 automatic transfers no matter what. It takes a look at your spending to see how much is safe and realistic for you to save, and it will automatically make those transfers from your bank account into Digit's FDIC insured savings account. Because let's be honest here, very few people actually have time to go back, track all of your spending, analyze that spending to figure out exactly how much you can realistically save. So Digit goes ahead and does all of that work for you. And one of my favorite parts about Digit is they take that same smart saving system and they apply that to investing. So they take that same algorithm to analyze your spending and saving to make automatic transfers into an investment account. So if you are new to this whole world of budgeting, this is one of the easiest and most intuitive ways for you to start saving money. And there's a link in the description box down below to download Digit and start saving. Because I know when you first start out, it can be really tempting to do the most with your budget. But what I have found is it's more important to start off slow, realistic, and simple, and take advantage of those resources and apps that are available to you to make your life and budgeting system easier. That is literally what they are there for and they are designed for, so you might as well use them. Mistake number 2, having too many savings goals. This really interlocks with mistake number 1 of overcomplicating your budget, and this is where you try to save for way too many things and you stretch yourself thin. If you've been here, you know I absolutely love sinking funds. I think that they are awesome and I definitely recommend that you incorporate some in your budget. If you don't understand what sinking funds are, I will link a video up here that explains them and how I use them to get out of debt. But I really think that it's important whenever you are starting out that you are realistic about how many different things you can save for. In my opinion, it is a lot better to pick a handful of things that you want to save for than try to come up with 15, 20 different savings goals, and then you never really get anywhere with those because you're only putting a little amounts in there at a time. Yes, this means that there are things that are going to have to wait, but that's pretty much going to be the reality with budgeting for forever. Most of us cannot afford to save for everything that we want to save for. So it's really important from the get-go to start prioritizing what you want to budget for. That way you can start to actually see your savings grow and you reach those goals. That reinforcement is so important for sticking with your budget over the long term. And I know if you've seen my budget at this point can seem a little bit hypocritical because I do have lots of different savings categories, but it did not always work that way. A really good example of this is actually our joint account. Our joint account doesn't really have a lot of room for a lot of different savings goals because we budget very closely to what we are making inside of our joint account. So we only have 2 main savings categories, vacation and moving. Are there tons of other things that we wish that we could save for? Absolutely, but we would rather be able to put more money toward our top 2 goals than put little amounts of money toward a bunch of goals and then never really actually reach any of those. As you go and you perfect your budget and you start to realize what is realistic for you to be saving, you can adjust this and add more categories, but start simple. Mistake number 3, kind of the opposite of mistake number 2, is not setting any goals. One of the first things that I tell people to do when they're starting to budget is to come up with short, medium, medium, and long-term goals. Those don't have to just be financial goals. It's also important for you to look at your life as a whole and what you want your life to look like, because if you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to be able to make a plan to actually get there. And I know that this is either going to seem like a very obvious point, or you might be kind of like me. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was never really good at setting goals. And that was until I found out about SMART goals. I go more into depth about SMART goals in this video. I will also link that down in the description box below. If you're someone who feels like you never reach your goals, or you don't really know how to set realistic and manageable goals, definitely check out that video. Having financial goals that I had a realistic and clear path toward completing made a huge difference with my finances. Mistake number 4, making an unrealistic budget. Again, most of us are not going to be able to save for all of the things we want to save for or pay off our debt overnight. So it's really important, rather than looking to what everyone else is doing and what they're accomplishing, to look inward and see what is realistic for your situation, your expenses, and your income. I am not a fan of the idea that budgeting is about cutting out everything that you possibly can, eating beans and rice, never going out for a nice coffee anymore, slashing your grocery budget in half overnight, because from what I have seen, that is not realistic. People end up overspending because they're not used to budgeting or living a life like that. And then inevitably, you think you suck at budgeting and you quit. There's nothing wrong with setting big goals, but I think it's important that you break up those goals into making a realistic budget that changes a little bit over time. Rather than trying to slash your grocery budget overnight and going from spending $1,000 a month on groceries to $500, keep that big goal, but break it into smaller ones. Instead, try cutting your grocery budget by $20 to $50 a week or every month. And then slowly you'll start to learn, you'll start to adapt, figure out how you can make little changes to save money on groceries in a way that actually feels sustainable. Because trust me, I tried to do this exact same thing and it does not work. You end up overspending and then you don't feel good about yourself, and then you think budgeting isn't for you, so you quit. You will save so much more money over the long haul if you make realistic changes that you can actually stick to. This goes for any saving goal, any spending goal, or your debt payoff. Look at how much wiggle room you have in your budget. Do you have any money left over after all of your expenses are taken care of? And then you can evaluate how much is realistic for you to save and where you might be able to slowly start cutting back on some of your spending. And this brings us to mistake number 5, quitting when you overspend or mess up. Listen, I am over a year and a half into this. I have hit major debt payoff and savings goals, and I still mess up and I still overspend. In fact, I actually count on it in my budget. I have 2 different categories assigned to covering my overspending or covering things that I didn't see coming in life. Because I know that life isn't perfect, and therefore my budget is literally never going to be. You are a human, you make mistakes, we all are, so we are inevitably going to overspend or mess up in our budget. And I really believe that it is important to just give yourself the grace to cover that overspending, move things around, learn from it, and move on. No one wins if you quit whenever you mess up or you overspend, because then you're just going to continue to make the same mistakes and the same choices that got you here in the first place. Instead, take that as a learning experience. Figure out if there's something that you can do in the future to avoid that, move money around from somewhere else in your budget to cover that overspending or that mess up, and avoid shaming yourself out of ever budgeting again. So that is it for today's video on the top 5 mistakes that I see new budgeters make. I really hope that you enjoyed. If you did, if you learned something cool, please remember to give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps boost this video to the top. That way more people can find this content. And I will see you all next time. Bye.